Okay, this is page 66, and this is area problems. We're not going to be doing all of these problems, but we're going to try at least a few of them. So the idea here is, like for number one, we're dealing with a rectangle, and to get an area, you would do length times width, and in this case, it equals 78, and they want us to figure out what the x is. So the idea here is if you multiply x times x plus 7, length times width, it should equal 78. So you're going to start by doing the distributive property. So I'm going to get x squared plus 7x equals 78. Then I'm going to do a negative 78 to both sides so I can get it equal to 0. And I know I have a quadratic equation here because of the x squared. So at this point, I like to do this one of two ways. I usually start by trying to factor first. If you can factor, it's the fastest. And if I can't factor, I usually just go right to the quadratic equation or the quadratic formula. You could do the square roots and completing the square if those, were to work as well. But I usually factor, and if that doesn't work, go to quadratic formula. All right, so in this one, so you'd start like this and you would do some guessing and checking. And as we can see here, it did factor to x plus 13 times x minus 6. So for this one, you do a negative 13 to both sides, x equals negative 13, positive 6 to both sides. And they want to know just what is the value of x. So we've got two possibilities here, but it can't be a negative number. You can't have a length that's a negative number. So that eliminates that choice. And we now know that x can only be one thing, which is 6 meters. All right, now number two is the same type of problem. Again, I'm going to be multiplying length times width, and it should equal 108 square meters. And so I would start by multiplying them with distributive property, and then I would do a negative 108 to both sides to get it all on the same side. And I'm going to try to factor first. If it didn't work, I'd go on to the quadratic formula, but it did work. So this would be a positive 12 to both sides. This would be a negative 9 to both sides. Now, again, you can't have a length here that's negative 9, so it's got to be 12. So x is 12 meters. But you're seeing another answer here, and that's because this question is asking for you to find the dimensions. The dimensions mean you have to find the length and the width. So if x is 12, so this is 12, this side here is x minus 3. That would be 12 minus 3. And that's where this 9 came from. So it didn't come from here. This negative 9 doesn't work. So this is 12. So this one must be 12 minus 3. This one didn't ask for the dimensions. They just wanted x. But this one, they wanted the dimensions. So you had to do length times width. So that's the general idea for area problems and quadratic equations.